the Comic-Con schedule is color coded if you look on the website.
Yeah.
Through the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the color coding is like program. Like
the colors are
autographs, anime, gaming,
like,
children's movies.
They're very generic.
New.
Yeah.
Canceled. And then the rest of it is just program.
Yeah. It's like, do you want a thing that is a panel, a signing, a game, or a, like a convention activity, right? 80% of those are lumped into one thing. The other 20% are like broken out not helpfully. And so that you're like, oh, I'll filter on just the programs because that'll tell me the panels. No, not even close.
Nope. No. Some of them are all broken up. Well, I guess since we're already started talking about Comic-Con, we should say we're back. For episode 364 of We Were Gamers, a podcast where we took 2 weeks off. And I came... Whoa. Oh, he's not happy to be back.
No, that was the crowd noise.
I guess.
Yay.
Oh, it was the crowd. The raving hordes. Welcome back, JJ and Michael. 2-week break, man. It was,
What even is this?
How do we do this again? I think I'm recording. I see audio moving on the screen. I think we're good. Oh boy. Yeah. So we took a little 2-weeker there. I don't know about you guys. I came back rejuvenated to get things cleaned in the house, but overall still tired. I don't know what it is about vacation now. Why don't we get rest?
You're vacations, I feel, this isn't a hot take, right? Vacations aren't actually usually relaxing.
No, that is not what vacations are for.
Right. Yeah. So if I have my druthers, I would typically book a vacation and then leave a day or two on the end after we get back where I don't do anything in order to relax.
Yeah. If we got back from Michael and I should we should review Utah, Michael.
Okay. From what standpoint?
Like people do those lists where they like do point scale for different items, so like food, scenery, friendliness, usability, all those, and you do like 1 through 10 or something like that. Food,
number of
I'd
Mormons.
say a solid. Ouch. Low nowadays, I think.
Is it? Okay, I don't know.
At least Salt Lake is quite metropolitan. Oh, you're doing one of those at the end, the joke rating. So like at the end of every one, there's like one of those. It's always a 10 out of 10, right? Because you pick something that's. Yeah.
Yeah, or like
I get what you're doing now. We got to get back in the swing of things here. We got to get back in the groove. Utah's nice. It was too hot though.
Yeah, it was, it was
That's my
nice
opinion.
where we were. It was nice where we were staying. I think we were just high enough to take the edge off some of the heat. But just about anywhere we went was at a lower elevation than we were, and it got pretty warm pretty quick.
Toasty. And like that's northeastern Utah. Let's say southern Utah is warmer.
Oh yeah, pushing 3 digits.
Food good. My new mission, and one of the reasons I was going to jokingly review Utah, is to go to used game stores in other towns. Because I don't know about you guys, but maybe near you there's one, but up here all the used game stores are closed. Video game stores, I should say, not like board game stores. There is a board game store right here. They're just the brick and mortar versus probably the the amount of money they make per sale is just not. I don't think they can hold it together in California with the rents as they are here. But in other towns, they seem to be able to hold it together okay. I'm surprised more of them don't have online stores. I've run into 4 or 5 now, and only one has had an online store. And what they put on there was minimal compared to what they had in their store.
Yeah, I was gonna say doing inventory for that kind of store would be like its own job. Like that would be all you did.
Yeah, I wonder if that's part of the problem of running a store like that.
The
Maybe,
inability
sure.
to
I mean,
maintain an online presence, you mean? And keep up with what you
I
have.
thought that I think for a long time I thought that about comic book stores too. They just don't have like the system to have everything in the store online at the same time, and I think that that's fine. I think the warehouse theory, right? Like this is a warehouse, and eventually I will put some of the things online. The glass case things, maybe, right? Those are online. Things that you'd actually make some amount of money from shipping.
Yeah,
I don't know.
especially with comics. Like, are you gonna pay to ship someone a $3 issue? You know, like that's not
No, they're
happening,
not. And so
right?
that's the thing the comic book stores have started doing, right? They sell the slabbed books and big groups of books. Like, oh, this is the entirety of Scott Snyder's run on Batman, which would be a massive box, right? You would get shipped to you. That kind of thing. But so yeah, it was surprising. So, since none of these guys have online presences really, if you're in, the northern part of Salt Lake City, you might find like NES games fully in box for about half the price you'd find them on eBay, which was surprising and fun.
That's pretty sweet.
You might find that as you walked into a store in Vegas, someone had 20 minutes before you sold them a Game Boy that they hadn't even put in the system yet, and you said, "I'll buy that right now."
I want that. Yeah, the kind of thing that you
Is that for sale right now?
happens when you walk in the door, right?
Yeah,
right.
totally.
Yeah. So this it. As I have tried to, watch my weight and things, I'm changed over from chicken wings in every state to try and find a used game store in every state.
I like that.
Do y'all do a thing like that on vacation? Do you find a thing to do on vacation
Not
that is
quite like
consistent?
that
That involved?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a single consistent thing.
Yeah. It's made vacations more fun to develop those things. Like we always look for a magnet of a certain type, right? Like whenever we're going somewhere, or we always look for, like if we go to a state park, we get like a certain, or a national park, we get like a certain thing at each place. So it becomes more of a ritualistic experience, even if you're in a different place.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, just sort of like a consistent thing.
Well, that wasn't
like
where we were going with Comic-Con, was it?
Oh, you know what?
Although
Before we
maybe
leave,
Comic-Con was kind of about it.
Oh, Andy, I was going to say before we leave Utah behind, should we describe Take Home Escape Room to JJ? Or at least write him out.
I have done one. I have done
and see what he thinks of it.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're gonna ruin an escape room game for somebody, but whatever. JJ, have you seen these games called Exit?
I'm not sure that I'm aware of it by that name. So
okay,
maybe?
so it's a little box. It's like 2 decks of cards, basically. And what it is an escape room in a box. Basically, a bunch of riddles in a box, using paper and other little things they give you to try and solve the riddles they give you, and then and they tell you a little story.
My wife and I have played a boxed escape room game, but it seemed more elaborate than like 2 decks of cards. So
no. I just mean it's the size of 2 decks of cards. They give you
size.
like a yeah, like a box size. But they give you like a book, and they give you like they give you a bunch of cards actually, and they give you some stuff you need to cut up and some other things that like you don't know what they're for until you get later in the puzzle. So this one had like a bunch of clear plastic with dots on it. The one I've had previously, you like created this little contraption. Another one we played, you had to fold up the box into like a doorway.
Okay, yeah. So we've played at least one thing like this before.
Yeah, and they're made to be destroyed
Okay.
as part of the process of playing the game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we played 2 of these in Utah, and JJ, I will even give you the hint that the people that make this particular one that we were playing are from Germany. You have a thing to write something down on, or you could probably
can type
even
it out.
remember it.
Okay.
Or you could, yeah, anything. It's 6 letters or 7 letters. What was it?
It was 6.
6 letters. All right. So the number 2, capital R, capital I. Second line, 2, the number 2 again, WG.
Are these all caps?
Without any context, you're never, yeah, all caps. Without any context, you're literally never going to get this clue. Even with context, we did not get this clue. Say it out loud and try and come up with 2 words. He's not saying it out loud.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what it could be. Is it try and trig? Twig?
Oh.
So you got there on the second one.
I don't know what the first one could be then. Turi?
Pretty close.
Something? I don't know.
And so this is where we got stuck for a while on this puzzle. I think it was the only place where we really got stuck. But it's supposed to be tree.
Hmm.
And so this is where Andy's comment about it being made by a German native comes in. Is that
I see how you get Turi and Twig, and you go, oh, twig, tree, twig, or something like this. But that's
right? But for an
a bit of a
English
stretch,
speaking audience, that's not where you go with an RI.
I agree. It's not. It's a stretch.
So yeah, we had gripes, and apparently so did certain corners of the internet.
Any other thoughts on escape rooms?
No, it was a good time. I like the concept that, you know, once you've done it, you know the trick. There's no need to necessarily do it again. So why not make one that requires you to like cut up stuff and interact with it and pull the box apart and pull pieces apart.
So I saw one of these. The one we got was actually given to us by someone else, where they had done it already and they were passing it on to us. And they had there was only like one thing that had to be like destroyed as part of it, and they like recreated the piece of paper basically
to give it to you.
Yeah, and they're like,
Well,
this was
cool.
the only thing we couldn't keep intact, and we had to destroy as part of the thing. So here's the piece of paper. That's the thing that they tell you, right?
Wow. Huh.
And then we gave it to someone else after we were done because we're like, well, yeah, again, there's no replay value in them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Once you know it.
Very cool. Okay. Well, we started this podcast hopefully talking about Comic-Con, but we did a review of Utah. We did talking about rituals on vacations and then escape rooms instead of the natural transition of us talking about Comic-Con at the beginning and how it's coming up this week and what we could possibly be looking forward to given the gigantic mess that it is.
Certainly looking forward to all those extra crowds on the floor. Let me tell you.
Definitely going to be some of that. I'm also very curious if all the other panels will also be way more crowded, or if all those people will just filter out to the floor and offsite things or something.
You think so?
Did all these people convert from being fanatics for Hall H into, are they going to see stuff on Ballroom 20 now? Like, is that what's going to happen?
Or yeah, it's it was already for me a little bit worrisome that like some of the stuff that I missed last year wasn't back, right? Like there's no NASA panel this year. There's no Kirkman interview this year. Because they were all, you know, maybe doing other things, or NASA just didn't have a big year like they did the previous year or whatever. But you know, and then I'm personally cutting down 2 days. So now what, you know, like what do we go to that's not gonna be kind of crazy maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think this will be a very telling year for, can Comic-Con sustain or be a thing without the, like, you know, Hollywood star power, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, so they came back from the pandemic in 2022, right? Last year. So now 2 years removed, their largest draw for the last 10 years, Hollywood, drops out basically. Does it refocus the convention on comics in years to come, or they just ignore it, say, oh well, it's a down year, and move on?
I am also curious. I feel like anecdotally, I have seen a lot more off-site stuff being put up this year
Okay.
than in previous years. Some of the same stuff that has been there in previous years is there again, but I feel like or I'm just noticing it this time, but there are more things going on offsite than I'm used to. Like multiple big things. Like, you know, they always have that one giant place behind the convention center, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening. The place next door at the side of the convention center is happening again. The other end of the convention center, where there always is something set up, is something again. There's something apparently like farther away that's like Jurassic Park themed. That's
What?
in some kind of big space. Yeah, it was ticketed and is apparently like lots of people interested in getting in that.
Huh.
So there's like a ton of, you know, what I would consider big offsite or activation or whatever they call these things these days. Yeah, more than I'm used to, right? And normally there's like 2 or 3 or whatever, and then like various small ones all over. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's like 4 or 5 sizable ones this year, which is weird to me anyway.
It seems like that one waxes and wanes. Like I've seen it over the years, like be huge and then not so much, and then be huge and then okay, you got to really go looking to find that arcade, and then be, you know, like then the next year was the Assassin's Creed course, battle course or what, you know.
Right.
That one seems to go up and down with its popularity of like, you know, really maybe we should throw out a huge, you know, outside the convention center thing, and then either they're overly attended and no one wants to go, or they're under attended and they don't want to do them again. I don't know.
I think also it's, you know, it will be interesting again because of Comic-Con, you know, the pullout of Hollywood and all that sort of happened, you know, last minute ish, right? The writers were already on strike and have been for a while, so they could foresee those type of people not showing up. But the actor folks, you know, are only started their strike several days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there was kind of writing on the wall that it was coming just because of the timing of their negotiations being up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who hedged their bets and had a backup plan in place to be able to pivot.
You know, or like what they're going to fill those spaces with, right? Like, okay, you know, Amazon had booked a thing for some show, but now none of those actors are showing up.
Do you
What are they going to
still?
do?
I mean, they still host it, right? They still show something. Is what the answer is. Why would they not?
Right. Well, like, you know, Disney and a bunch of other companies announced that they were just pulling out of the convention completely, right?
Oh, they
But
did.
they've had enough time to, you know, fix that, right? There's been enough time for them to resell those booths or put other people in places or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, who fills the Hall H panel that was going to be the Disney Plus giant Star Wars thing,
Yeah.
right? Like they're not doing that. So who gets in there? I'm sure there are people who are like, put me in, coach. Like, we'll do it. We'll take the Hall H, even if it's half full or whatever. Like,
I would just, I would start, move down a hall size and just bump everybody up a level, right? And it might help with some of the smaller panel crowding problems. If the biggest draw is suddenly gone, you shift everybody up, and so now even the small panels are in the next size room up.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think that may happen, right? I think there's a chance that, okay, well, like companies have pulled out or other people have lost space and they're like, well, someone's got to be in ballroom 20, someone's got to be in Hall H during these times. They bumped other panels up and now people are getting promoted to, oh, this was going to be in 6A or whatever, and now it's in 6B, C, D, E, Q or whatever, the like huge, bigger side of that hall, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I still see on the schedule things like 5:45 p.m. on what is this, Friday? The where did it go? A conversation with cast and creators of Prime Video's Invincible. How?
Well, there's
How's
the
that
chance
still on the schedule?
it's a chance it's a non-union job, right?
Well, it is a union job. There's no question because these actors' names are all union actors.
Okay,
Now
then you have to assume that now that whole cast isn't showing up, and maybe it's just the one creative guy that they can get who isn't covered by SAG or whatever.
I guess maybe they could get the the Producers Guild people to do it. I mean, I would assume Kirkman is WGA since he wrote it.
Yeah,
so he can't go. Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some Amazon executive who greenlit it who's like, I will go sit in front and listen to these stupid nerds and, or whatever, right? Like some suit that they can get to fill in, or, an art person, or
it really is a bummer for the fans of these things.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just, I think that, I'm sure the actors are disappointed, but it is what it is, man. I mean, let's ask the studios why they didn't just give them a fair contract and pay them what they were owed, like,
I mean, you could have seen this coming from 2 years ago and dealt with it, right? Like the actors probably care individually, but they don't really have a choice between the union that they work for and the studio executives. They're caught in the middle of the two, just not negotiating, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure the individual actors have an opinion about, their contract and what they're paid for their work, right? And so they have, they have skin in that game too. So they're, going to have to side with the thing that is most important to them, their livelihoods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. I agree. Like, I'm sure you're right that individually certain people were like, man, this is going to be so cool. Our thing was coming out. We were going to talk about it here. This was going to be the big reveal, all this cool stuff. I was going to get to see all these people. Also, I don't want to get screwed over on my next job and have, not be able to get my dues or whatever, right? Yeah, it's a bad situation for everyone, right? And I'm sure, I guess I don't know why we need to stick up for the corporations, but I'm sure the corporations are like, God damn it, now our movie is gonna flop because we can't get any marketing buzz started for Ant-Man 4 or whatever the other thing that
promoting. I don't know enough about the like union disagreement with the studio. Like I haven't researched enough to like be in the middle of it and explaining all of it. But one thing that to me I think about, and we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, with like corporations are not your friend, right? Like there's a refrain that I will spit into the microphone until I can't talk anymore. In general, my first thought went to the people that spent their year's savings to go to Comic-Con to go see Ant-Man 4's reveal, or whatever you're talking about, right? Like,
sure.
Yes. Yeah. I spent my $750 for a ticket. I'm going to get in Hall H and I'm going to see all the new Marvel stuff, and I'm going to see all the actors, and I got a new camera so I could take all the pictures. This is my big thing for the year. This is what I've been hoping for.
I mean, I'm coming.
That is the person that
east.
came.
I'm spending $1,000 on hotel rooms.
Yeah,
like all that kind of stuff.
That's the person who I thought about first when I was thinking about how messed up the schedule is going to be. Do I care that much? Not really, right? I don't attend these types of panels. I probably would have gone to the Invincible one, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that would have been a situation affected by this. But am I going to cry about it? No. Would I have gone anyway without any Hollywood attendance? Yes, because I've been going for 20 years. It doesn't affect me whether or not Hollywood's in Hall H or not. But like my first thought was like, oh no, all those people that were coming to just sit there and enjoy the presence of all these other people. How do you square that circle if you're on the non-fan end of it for either the actors union, or I'm not saying the actors in general, but the actors union or the studios, and be like, well, we couldn't work it out so that you guys could come to the biggest fan event of the year and enjoy it. Sorry.
There is no redress.
Yeah.
Right. It's and I think it's really tough to like look at what the studios have said and be like,
yeah.
they were definitely trying real hard to fix this problem. Like,
no, they weren't.
They were not.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's every reason in the world to understand and listen to and in the situation that these jobs are unionized, strike, right? Like, yes, part of the agreement is that we own your likeness in perpetuity and we're not going to pay you for it. That's a real good bargaining chip to throw down when you definitely don't want to make an agreement. So clearly,
but they were going to pay them $200, Andrew.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't done enough research to wade into the middle of the argument of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
But they do need to work it out, right? Like,
yeah.
There's a reason they're striking, and it's just, wow. Could the timing not be worse for that person, for that girl or that guy that is flying from, I don't know, North Carolina, and their hotel is non-refundable because it's a week ahead, and their badge they can't sell because no one will buy it anymore, and
And I think that the hope is that there will still be cool and interesting stuff to do at the con, right?
I hope for most people they didn't come only for that. That's what I have to hope, right?
Yeah, and I think that this is, like I said, it was going to be interesting. This is one of the most interesting things that I'm curious to find out about. What do all those people do? Do they just go to Hall H anyway? There is going to be some stuff there.
Yeah, and I know it sucks because these people work for a year, 2 years, 3 years on these things, and they want to share them with people. Or they, I talked to some of the actors and creatives, and after their panels where they go in front of 10,000 people and they have them all, eating out of the palm of their hand because they're just so enraptured with the thing that they've created, and it's such a good feeling for them. So it's not like they don't want to be there. And I wouldn't be surprised to hear stories of like finding random actors walking around because they can still be there on their own. They just can't do stuff, right?
They can't promote their projects. Yeah, but they can absolutely just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's totally possible, right? That, Andy, maybe some of them will come as themselves, right? And attend signings or whatever, right? Because that's still allowed, right? They can't promote a movie, but maybe if you're like not the toppest flight actor, then they're probably not gonna, get a booth up in Sales Pavilion or whatever. But maybe someone in the middler tier may decide to do that, right? Well, I was going to be on this panel, and a bunch of people pulled out. I can take this booth as myself, and like I have a book. I can bring my books and sign copies of my book, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Those kind of pivots will be interesting to see if the convention makes or handles.
Yeah. So now what is everyone looking forward to? Now that we've the doom and gloom out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know, Andy. I mean, like to your point, I don't know how much of my experience was tied up in the Hollywood participation.
No,
So
like I said, I
don't
had
know
one.
how much.
I had
Yeah, I
one
don't know how
thing
much I feel
that's
impacted.
it's still on the schedule. The one thing I was thinking of that would be impacted. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the only part for me was the everyone has kind of backed out again from using the exclusives portal, at least all
Oh
of the
God.
all of the companies that I would be interested in. And so in looking through the portal, it was like, well, these were, when it first opened, these were the couple of things that I might be interested in throwing a chip in for. And, they were all show related and have since been canceled. So that was the probably the most that I felt the impact.
Oh, I believe all of those have been awarded at this point as well. So if you won anything, you now will know.
I literally found nothing that I wanted to put my name in for. There was one Hot Wheel that I was like, that's a cool Hot Wheel. I'm not collecting Hot Wheels, so
I put
I'm not
my
gonna
name
buy it.
in. I put my name in for random stuff mostly on all the days. It was
Yeah.
like whatever, and lo and behold, I did not win anything.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yep.
Oh, is it? I don't care. So
See, I'm kind of
I
the
guess.
opinion where, like, if I'm not super excited for anything, and we talked about this several years ago when they first put this new system in place. If I'm not super excited for anything, I feel a little bit bad just throwing my name in to throw my name in, because there's somebody out there who really wants that thing.
Yeah, there are.
And if I'm,
There are.
if I'm not trying to get stuff and flip it, then all I'm doing is taking something from someone who actually wants it.
Yeah, I'm even trying to get out of the flip it game. Like, I used to do that for the I would be on Blizzard message boards, and like I wouldn't like make a bunch of money or anything, but I would buy stuff and then for people up in like Orange County, and then just like sell it back to them, not for a markup or anything, but like
let me tell you guys a story of a coworker told me today. We were talking about Comic-Con at work, and he told me a story. This is an older guy, so he's been going to Comic-Con for like a super long time. Years and years and years ago, he won. He was there with a bunch of his friends, right? And the group of them wanted to get a signing of like Spider-Man was at the Marvel booth, right? This is like one of the old Spider-Man movies, so this like Tobey Maguire was going to be there.
Okay.
nice.
And so it put you in the time frame of when this might have been, right?
Ye old, not that old Comic-Con.
Right. But, it was, this was still back then. That was still a big thing. Those movies were huge, right? It wasn't the first Spider-Man, I'm pretty confident, but it was one of the later ones where that first movie did insane. And then the other ones were like the next best thing since sliced bread. And so these tickets were hot. And they wanted to get, whatever the signing was going to be, right? A bunch of the actors were going to be there, and then you get, whatever the thing is, some poster or something, right? And then all the cast members or whoever is there sign it.
Yeah.
So they all get in this line, and they, it's tickets, right? And they all got tickets, and none of them won except their one friend, right? Their one friend won, so he had one slot basically. Not even he couldn't bring someone else. And then, they good. So he goes and does the signing, it's like so excited about it. And then they're doing another one the next day. So they all go back again the next day to try and do it, whatever the next one was.
Yeah.
The same guy wins again and is like, sweet, now I can sell one.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, all your friends were with you, man. You don't want one of your friends to have it? No, what you're interested in is flipping it to get some money so that you can, it's really just like and this was years and years ago, it didn't get better. I think I said like, dude, you need better friends.
I mean, the idea that you could wait in line because you got lucky enough to pull a Lego and a minifigure could net you $400 is a powerful drug,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, and I get it, but like, man,
And you understand that there are some people who are doing it in part because the flipping is what funds the trip. And so if they don't flip enough, then they lose money on just being at Comic-Con.
Yeah. I think I understand that, but would argue the other way, like, just don't go.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like,
Sure.
there's a lot of it that ends up just being like, my trip has become about making sure I'm in line at all times to buy things to flip or get things to flip. And the experience of Comic-Con is you've become a merchant. That's your Comic-Con experience. And if that's the necessity, then maybe look around at the events and things that you're missing out on. Are you really there for the event you're missing out on, or are you there to flip things and try and make money?
And if the answer is you're there to flip things and try and make money, is like, are there less expensive ways to do this?
Stocks.
Could you
go buy stocks?
Could you do things? Are there like easy things that you could be doing potentially that cost you less money and potentially get you as much or more?
I get what you're saying, Michael. Like, yeah, if you waited in line 2 days for those Lego minifigures and you got both of them, and and they're worth as much as sometimes they are, then yeah, you look at that. You paid for your trip. I don't know what you say to that other than, I guess, good for you.
Yeah.
Just kind of the nature of consumerism, I guess, is that even well-meaningness requires that you consider the option of maybe I could make some money here, right? Like if you're not thinking about it, you're kind of wrong. But if that's your only goal, maybe you need to rethink about it. It's a weird world that Comic-Con is on its own, and that's part of the charm of it. A little bit, right? It's like this, everyone's trying to get something out of it. And in the meantime, you could go upstairs and listen to Scott Snyder talk about his new publishing company in the middle of all that, right?
It's kind of like two worlds.
Yeah. I mean, but they're linked. It's the same thing. But for me, when waiting in lines started to get in the way of waiting in other lines, that was the problem. Like, oh, I have to wait in that line to try and get that exclusive thing, but I really actually want to be upstairs listening to the Peanuts panel about the whatever anniversary thing. Oh, that's when the real disillusion maybe started to happen a little bit. I don't know. It's a tough one. All the consumerist stuff, and worse now because no one's using the exclusives portal.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a bunch of places are back to doing actual, like they're doing exclusives. They're just not doing them through the portal. So it's back to, the Wild West days of everyone run around and figure something out.
Oh yeah,
wonderful.
And there's and they're back to exclusives for every single day, exclusives one per customer. There will be people that are in as exhibitors again that are buying things up before you can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Part of the territory.
Yep. Okay, so if we're not doing the exclusives portal and we're not doing Hall H, I actually have found some stuff that has struck me as kind of like, this has been coming for a little while now, but now is actually somewhat maybe the future of Comic-Con. I don't know. Did you either look at the schedule and see how many video game panels are now on there?
I have seen that there's a decent amount. Yeah.
I mean, so Telltale Games, which is back alive after being purchased, has their own panel. Star Wars Outlaws has its own panel, and even John Romero's got a panel about Doom. I mean,
now,
John Romero's got a panel about Doom at Comic-Con. I don't even know how you get through that sentence without going, huh?
I'll put this out there for all of the planners of Comic-Con who I know listen to our podcast. But might this be a very timely moment to reach out to some of the participants in E3, which seems to be gasping on its last legs, to lure them into a venue that does have a guaranteed audience year on year?
Ooh, man, just rip out Hall H and turn it into a video game area.
Just gonna put that out there
It's a little late, but
Yeah,
it would have been
for
a good
this
idea.
year. For this year, but
Yeah. But certainly, you make a good point. Like, hey, there's a Mortal Kombat panel. Hey, there's a Tekken panel. Hey,
Yeah,
there's a panel for Star Wars.
there's
Video games, right? But not the. And luckily, you don't need any Hollywood people to come to that, right?
No, you sure don't. I mean,
Um,
and if they do, depending on the jobs, there's a chance they were not WGA, or SAG jobs. There's a chance.
I would say that there is a higher than zero chance, period, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the video game voice actors, there is a video game voice actor union, but I don't think that they are on strike right now. So, that's an option too, right? There
Mhm.
are certainly those companies didn't spend any money on E3 because it didn't happen this year. But maybe they have marketing money lying around where they would like to open a thing downtown and take over a store or whatever, right?
I
This
mean,
is
the
stuff that Comic-Con could be the beneficiary of.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a significant amount of game stuff that just pops up, What did you say? Armored Core 6 has a offsite thing now?
I think I saw pictures of it going up. It is both Armored Core 6 and Tekken 8.
Wow.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the days of Nintendo being there, and it was pretty big, and now single games get big stuff.
The days of the lounge.
Yeah, to be clear, this is like the same publisher makes both of those games, so it's just one spot for both. But yeah, that's good, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I've got my eye on going to John Romero. I'm not going to say what time. You could look it up. That way, it won't be too crowded if people are too lazy to look it up.
Got him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we managed to have run through a ton of time somehow for today. I think we end the podcast today by saying what we are hoping to see in terms of this year's Comic-Con, like the one thing you're looking forward to trying to find this year in its weird semi-return year, right? Like last year was like the return year of, oh, let's all try it out again. And this year is kind of like supposed to be its regular return. What was the one thing, or is the one thing, that you're looking forward to see if it kind of isn't back in full swing? I can go first if you want.
Yeah, if you've got one.
Last year, when we attended the convention, I walked through the entire thing multiple times, and went to panels and ForHwent. Or how do you say ForHwent? ForHwent?
Or Wint.
I'm shaking my head.
I forgone in the past, even then gone is okay. I didn't do a lot of the stuff. I tried to stick to small stuff, and so it gave me a lot of time in small panels, which was really fun, and it gave me more time to walk the floor. And one thing that I noticed when walking the floor is while Artist Alley was full, as it had been in previous years, there was some emptiness to it at the end, but not a significant amount like that you would write home about. While Artist Alley was full and still small publishing was full, both of those areas seemed to be about a third taken up with no longer small publishers or artists, but instead like stores or creatives of other types, like t-shirt people or jewelry people or poster people that make, like just design posters, not really comics or anything like that. So like the expansiveness, the net had gotten wider for the people participating in those areas, but the people that were there regularly for years and years and years and years, in the middle range, not the big names. The big names were still there, but the middle range people had just stopped attending. So I'm hoping this year is the year that a lot of that returns. I don't mind the expansiveness and the inclusiveness of different types of artists that hadn't been in those areas before. And I think given that those areas were empty-ish every time, or are always sort of empty-ish towards the backsides of them, there's room to continue having those people there that are kind of like outside the regular attendance of just like, here's, I draw My Little Pony, I draw X-Men, I draw this, I draw that, you know, like those people in the middle range of those people weren't there last year. I can think of a lot of them that I had seen every year. So I want to see if those people are back.
It's a good one. I am unsure how much, and maybe we'll find out, because remember, Comic-Con did still have a mask rule last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm unsure how much that affected things. You know, people were still a bit wary of COVID. I think that's kind of, you know, while it is still obviously a thing, people are not worried about it anymore. So you will find, you know, the halls back packed to the gills, and, you know, no preventative measures for that stuff in place. And I wonder how much of that is, you know, going to bring some of those people back, or will it just, you know, they decided, hey, I've now moved online, or decided I don't need to do this convention circuit anymore and I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of a similar thing as what occurred to me. There were several booths that, you know, were on our regular Comic-Con circuit for years. You know, we'd hit them on the floor as just part of our daily routine. They always had small things to give away, stickers or pins or what have you, small things. But you know, you get to know the people running the booths on site or by name, and you kind of look forward to seeing them as con friends every year. And then, yeah, last year, a lot of them, for various reasons, be it cost, be it health, you know, they pulled out of doing Comic-Con. So it'll be interesting to see which of them, and hopefully many of them, are back this year.
Very cool. All right. Well, if you hear this on Wednesday, we'll be at Comic-Con. This will be out on Wednesday. Some of us will already be there. Some of us will be on our way there. I'll check the email address. Maybe, probably, you know, I'll try. And if you have questions about Comic-Con, or if you want to get in comments about Comic-Con for afterwards, where would you send them?
Folks can send those to podcast@wewergamers.com. Podcast@wewergamers.com. Please hit us up with that. We would love to chat with you and find out what kind of cool stuff you're interested in from Comic-Con. We'll have a review, I'm sure, when we come back.
JJ.
Mm-hmm.
To tie it in all full circle here, all the way back to the beginning of the podcast, there's a panel on Thursday night called Latter-day Gamers, Mormon Gaming Culture.
Nice. We did it.
They'll walk through the history of Mormon-themed board games, card games, and video games, for the first game in 1947 to the present, including the connection of the Latter-day Saints to Dungeons & Dragons, Settlers of Catan, and more Monopoly.
We did it.
Totally knew what we were doing.
All in there.
Planned it that way the whole time.
Yep. Oh, youtube.com/wewergamers at youtube.com/@wewergamers.
@wewergamers.
There you go. Do that.
Oh man, good timing.